All right, thank you for staying with us. We're talking about the controversy that have trailed the presidential pardon given to some persons, 175 of them, clemency, pardon, commutation of, the death sentences to life imprisonment and all of those things. Now, I was trying to talk about, one Kevin, actually 44-year-old, who was said to have been involved in terrible kidnapping and have kidnapped so many persons, including a senior advocate of Nigeria, Dr. Mike's, Professor Ozekome, a judge of the Edo State Judiciary, a top female official of the FRS, Dr. Chudin Wike, a former deputy governor, high-profile cases, including several members of the NYC and security agencies. In fact, the killing of so many security agencies. We even learned he operated, cells in different parts of the southeast and south-south, detention camps in Warri and Kokori communities. Now, the same person, Kevin Oniara, known as Kevin Ibruwe, has been pardoned now. What does this do? Two questions for me. Number one, what does this do to the psyche of those persons who have been killed or maimed or abducted by this individual who has just been pardoned? That's number one. And I'm directing my question to Dr. Lateef. And number two, which is very important for many Nigerians, is the justice system, the jurisprudence, and of course the issue of deterrence in Nigeria, because it's not just for correctional purpose. For as far as Nigerians are concerned, it's that if you have done something terrible, you should go in for it. The law should take its course. And now we are saying, if you are lucky, if grace will work upon you, if mercy will work for you, then that means you could still be pardoned for those horrible things that you have done before. So what does that do to deterrence and consequences? But I'd like you to start with the case of Kelvin, who was involved in so many high-profile cases, including kidnapping and maiming of core members who possibly still have parents and loved ones.
Where many people are missing the point here is that they tend to focus more on the horrific crime committed by these people and failing to understand that this is actually not the case when it comes to exercise of mercy or grace, as I have put it. Yes, they committed horrible crime. And I will recall that in 2020 or so, Stephen Grant in the UK here, I was granted what they call royal prerogative of mercy, something similar to our home. Somebody who committed murder, and this enraged, the public and all of that. So the point really is that if we keep focusing on the crime that they committed, which is quite condemnable, horrific, terrible, all of them, look at all of them on that list. Perhaps only 2 or 3 or 4 of them, could be said to have committed crime that didn't affect life or so. But that regardless, again, and I said something earlier, if Abat Macaulay were to be pardoned the same way, few years after his conviction, even if the conviction was politically motivated, if Chief Awolowo of blessed memory were to be pardoned immediately after he was also convicted politically or so, the public will still be divided over it. So the case here for me really is that if we keep focusing on the crime, then we lose sight of the essence of this exercise of power. Again, it is to, this is not to say, and I'm being careful here, this is not to say that the people who have lost their loved one, like the husband of Sanda and others, this is not to say they will not feel differently here. But it's just to say, unfortunately, the exercise of this power is rooted in not, looking back while going forward. It's rooted in just allowing people to move away, from this, and then healing. If you ask me, the healing here is that for the benefit of the society, if these people have truly turned new leaf in their prison, as some people have assessed them, and I'm happy that my brother reeled out the name of the eminent persons who comprise this committee. I do not want to think that these people did not give a careful thought, to this decision or reason.
Dr. Lateef, sorry, permit me. If you talk about healing, it is the victim that should be healing, not the offender.
Well, it is both way. The family of the people that were sent to prison too, they also, Justice Oputa said something remarkably that when a crime is committed, there are three souls killing for or crying for justice: the society, the victim, somebody who has lost a loved one, and even the accused person too. Everybody deserves justice. In this case, the law confers mercy or grace on the accused person. And coming to deterrence, I don't want to forget that.
Yes, sorry, sir. About deterrence, let me just lay precedent so that you can quickly go on it. Now, by statistics, what we have, we'll put it up shortly now. The presidential pardon by crime category, drug-related offenses, 70%. 70 cases, that's 40%. Illegal mining, 34%. Financial white-collar crimes, 70%. Violent capital offenses, 14%. Property hijacking, maritime, 6%. Arms-related offenses, 3%. Human trafficking and exploitation, 2%. And then, others categorized as miscellaneous, 2% as well. A statement from StatiSense categorized drugs, 29%. Unlawful mining, 24%. Homicide, 13%. Fraud, corruption, 12.3%, hijacking, 5.8%, firearms, 2.3% in percentage. Robbery and theft, 2.3%, kidnapping, 1.8%, human trafficking, 1.8%, others, 5.8%. Now, looking at the highest percentage being drug-related. So that's why I want to put that thing as far as deterrence is concerned. Are we saying those guys, now what will it do to those currently involved in some of these things? And you are trying to tell them, the law will catch up with you. This is bad, this is horrible. And they've seen people involved in these categories being pardoned, being forgiven. What does that do to deterrence in our society? Doctor.
Again, you see, deterrence, scholars have written on whether deterrence is as effective, as people tend to, say it. You see, the conclusion here is that, yes, deterrence is important and a key component of criminal justice system. But the point is that even during Buhari's first time or so, we learned that while people were being killed right there at Bar Beach, firing squad, a thief was caught stealing. Since Sanda or whoever murdered her husband, are you saying we have not witnessed similar crime? So the point is that there are recent researches showing that, yes, deterrence is good, but it has not necessarily eliminated crime. People still commit crime day in and day out. So it is therefore not necessarily a solid ground to say the prerogative of mercy should not be extended or should not be exercised. You see, if we want to totally abrogate it, fine. And I've seen the statistics that you put up. For me, really, I've seen people who cast aspersion on that, but I would say that it is even welcome that the statistics about homicide is far less compared to others, meaning that if you are talking about deterrence, we are still discouraging people from committing, capital offenses, from killing others and all of that. But you see, however you see it, the point again is this. Yes, deterrence is key, but so also is grace, so also is mercy, as conferred by the Constitution. Right. And for as long as the exercise of this power has been properly, I would say, exercised, then for me, really, Governor Ajimobi of blessed memory, I recall, pardon a lady lawyer who killed her husband. Quite a very fresh, I'm not saying this to justify that we should exercise the power of prerogative, recklessly, and I would not say it did so, but I'm saying, you see, the essence of the exercise of that power is to overlook the crime. Because if we keep money and money and money on the crime, the society will not progress. The society will not move forward. The family of Sanda husband, I've not seen them come out to actually complain against this. So even as you think this is something that is terrible, people don't accept it, there are people who also think, well, it is the right thing for them to move on. And they're also part of the society. So if truly these people have seen remorse, as assessed by the committee, then and other metrics have been considered, I do not necessarily think the moral side, will outweigh the legal exercise of that power in this case.
All right, Dr. Misbau, I'll come back to you shortly, but let's quickly move to Prince Oyedokun. Prince, looking at the statistics of those who were pardoned, majority of them, the higher percentage of them are actually those who have drug-related offenses, over 70% of them. Prince Oyedokun, many Nigerians have raised concerns simply because the president, in the exercise of his prerogative of mercy, has chosen to pardon majority who are drug offenders. And these critics have said Mr. President himself has questions to answer as far as drug is concerned, that he actually at some point forfeited thousands of dollars, I think about $400,000 to the United States government based on drug-related cases, that he himself has questions to answer. So is it just a mere coincidence that he's pardoning majority who are drug offenders, offenders rather? So what do you say to that? That's number one. And number two, Prince Oyedokun, how transparent is Nigeria's pardon system compared to international best practices? I'd like you to take it from anywhere.
Thank you very much. On the first question, since that Mr. President has some questions to answer in relation to allegations of drug or whatever, to me, I disagree with that bluntly. He has no further question to answer. One, the allegation that were levied against him prior to 2023 election dated back to an event that was alleged to have happened sometime before 1991. Or 1991, yes, 1991. And our constitutional provision is that even if you are convicted of an offense, 10 years later, you have a clean slate of record. You can contest for anything. So legally speaking, even if he was convicted then, he has no question to answer now in 2023 and in 2025 or 2027. That is one. Two, this matter was placed before the Supreme Court post 2023 presidential election, and he was found not to have never been convicted of a criminal offense relating to drug. So I would say he has no question to answer. And then I will be
Prince Oyedokun, sorry to cut in. It's not about whether or not Mr. President was actually convicted.
It's a moral question.
So exactly. So critics are saying, is it a mere coincidence that he's pardoning those who are drug-related?
I'm coming there. Yes, I'm coming there. I will be inspired by what my learned Dr. Misbau Lateef has just said. By the percentage displayed by statisticians, offenses of drug cannot be categorized as an offense that relates to violence against person, like in the case of murder, in the case of domestic violence, in the case of human trafficking and so on. So it cannot be related to violence against persons' conduct. And by that, then that will take me to the issue of deterrence that was mentioned. The issue of restorative justice, public morality, and legitimacy. See, it's an unsettled water of jurisprudence worldwide as to what should be a country's basis of criminal justice. Should a country absolutely adopt restorative justice system in their criminal jurisprudence, or should they adopt restorative justice system? If you want to wholly embrace retributive justice system, then you'll be talking about deterrence and eye for an eye. Once a person has been found guilty of a criminal offense, the person must take punishment. You are not concerned about what that person becomes while in custody. The person must take punishment maximally. Then a person convicted of murder must be killed. A person given life sentence must take life sentence, so as to deter others. That is the essence of retributive justice system. But as he pointed out, and I said I was inspired, we have ever executed armed robbers in this country. Has that eliminated completely the cases of armed robbery in this country? No. We have always been sending corrupt public officials to prison. Have we stopped it? Maryam Sanda committed murder. Subsequently, we have many cases of popular murder cases. from marriages that have happened after she was convicted. Even if she had been killed, more people will still commit these offenses. And those are the arguments against the retributive justice system. Then we come to restorative justice system. This person has been engaging in atavistic criminal behaviors, animalistic tendency. This person needs to be reformed. And that is the essence of restorative criminal justice system. When this person commits an offense, take them to custody, begin to give them counseling, send them to school. If they are jobless, give them vocation, and so on and so forth. But people have been in there, then they become liability to the state. We keep on feeding them, and so on and so forth. So there is no society that we say, I completely adopt either retributive or restorative. We continue to balance the two the way we are doing in Nigeria. One of the reasons given for some of these beneficiaries is that while in custody, some of them have obtained degree from National Open University. Some of them as a result of age. Some of them, they have
vocational skills.
Remorse.
Some of them got vocational skills as well.
And so on and so forth. And then some of these people, especially the posthumous ones, like Ogoni 9, the essence of giving them is a societal justice because we believe is injustices done to them by military junta in the past and colonial junta against the likes of Abat Macaulay.
Yeah.
So we cannot say then between this retributive justice system and the restorative justice system is the societal morality, which is relative. What is moral to Christian may not be moral to Muslims. What is moral to Hausa may not be moral to Yoruba. What is morally right for an Igbo person may not be morally right to a Kanuri person. So the question of morality is relative. As he said, there is no universal morality.
All right, Prince Oyedokun. I'd like to quickly attend to the second part of the question, talking about how transparent, how transparent is Nigeria's current pardon system, compared to international best practices.
Honestly, I would say it is really, really very, very transparent, because from the provision of the Constitution that has provided for the establishment of a committee, and then the committee will be subjected to the approval of the Council of State. And I just reeled out the membership of that committee, the ex officio members, like the representative of Nigerian Police Force, representatives of Correctional Service, the representatives of the Christian Association of Nigeria, representatives of the National Council of Islamic Affairs, traditional rulers, and then people who have made their mark in legal profession. Think of Chief Akinolu Olujimi, think of some academic professors. So it is not arbitrary that I'm the president, I have the absolute power to bring lists to me, I will exercise my discretion. No, that discretion is subject to credible procedural scrutiny, recommendation, approval, before the assent of the president.
All right. So transparency is not the problem here. Okay.
It's not the problem. Right. It's not the problem. But all right. I may say there is a, despite having complied with all necessary constitutional and procedural requirements, I think the committee, they did not consider, they did not consider the public interest in certain characters who are beneficiaries, like the case of Kevin you mentioned, like the case of Maryam Sanda, and like these are cases of popular public interest, which really hard to consider.
Let me come in here, Prince Oyedokun.
This present outcry will definitely influence future steps in similar regards.
All right. I remember the case you talked about in Ibadan. I was pardoned by the former governor, actually, who stabbed her husband to death as well. Actually, that is there. Now, two questions for you, and I extend you to Doctor as well, is the case of Faruk Lawan. And this is what I mean. The former lawmaker, Kano lawmaker, was jailed for receiving a $500,000 bribe from Femi Otedola, a businessman. The money was part of the $3 million Mr. Lawan requested to remove Mr. Otedola's firms from the list of companies indicted for fuel subsidy fraud. Now, in the case of Faruk Lawan, Prince Oyedokun, he has served his term. And okay, if he has served his term, okay, do whatever for remorse. And the reason was given to that. I'd like to just quickly check that. Actually, 4 of them, ex-convicts that have been pardoned, Anastasia Nwobia, Hussein Umar, and Ayinla Alanamu, and they said they were pardoned to enable them to integrate into society, having demonstrated sufficient remorse. Now, in the case of Faruk Lawan, a politically exposed person, a politician, quite vocal, because I knew the man before whatever happened, quite vocal at the National Assembly, a better structure, but with a very big voice, quite tiny, but very vocal. Now, the thing is, he has served his term. Can't he just go back to wherever he comes from in a sober way, do whatever is left of his life for himself and to do well for his community? The presidential committee pardoned him. And I asked Dr. Lateef the other day, what does it mean? He said it means he has a clean bill of health, a clean slate, like he has never, committed any crime before. So it means, politically speaking, in the next 4 years, about 2027, Mr. Faruk Lawan can pick up a ticket of a party and run for office again, knowing fully well what he has done. And there is a young man who possibly is looking and he's seen all of these, and you are telling him to be patriotic. I just want us to look at the public angle and for history, actually, especially for young people, that you can steal as much as possible, go to prison, know somebody who will recommend you, do whatever, you will be pardoned in the next 10 years, and then you are back in the society. Make that make sense. He has served his term, yet he's being pardoned, and he's a politician. One day his poster might come across in places in Kano, and this was a former convict. Does that make any sense?
Except you are calling for the amendment of our constitution to remove the provision for prerogative of mercy, which I don't think is
no, Prince Oyedokun, you have made that point. I'm only talking about the view, and especially young people looking at all of this.
I'm responding to you. Except you are calling for the removal of that provision from our law. He is entitled to it, just like any other convict. The only uproar we are experiencing now is because he's a politically exposed person. And today, if you call him a convict, and it takes you up for defamation, you will have to pay damages because he's not a convict.
Interesting.
He's not a convict, just like as Dr. Lateef has said. He can tomorrow become the governor of the state. He can tomorrow become the president of Nigeria because he has never committed an offense. He has been pardoned.
His slate is wiped clean.
Yeah. The issue of public morality now is the question. And how does that impact in the issue of deterrence, or on the issue of deterrence, and as an inspiration or role model for upcoming Nigerians, or for young Nigerians? If I will answer that question, the impact of granting persons like Faruk this kind of mercy does not encourage discipline among young Nigerians, because they know they will know that if you are well connected, you can always have your way, even if you are convicted.
Yeah.
There is no other way of saying it. It appears not very, very right.
It's not right. We have like three.
Future,
we have like 3 minutes to go.
The committee will do a better work.
Okay.
The committee will do a better work, given the kind of uproar that greeted the 2025 exercise of the power.
Moving forward.
All right, Prince Oyedokun.
Sorry, let me just land on this. And I'd like to just ask you, before he comes in 30 seconds, with all of these, I'm sure many Nigerians, instead of being enlightened, possibly they are more confused. With all of these explanations and the constitutional thing, what exactly is justice? I'd like you to just let me know this morning. What exactly are we saying when you talk about justice? In 30 seconds, please.
You give me 30 seconds to explain justice, but I will just do that. Maybe I will do it the best way in 2 seconds. I've spent out of my 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Justice is done when it is done according to the law. Anything other than that is injustice.
All right.
Don't forget, justice does not necessarily meet your morality, religion, or belief.
All right.
Justice is done when it is done according to the law. Just follow the law. That is justice. It may not be convenient for you. It is justice.
All right, Prince Oyedokun. Let's quickly go to Dr. Lateef. Dr. Lateef, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you.
Dr. Lateef, you said earlier that the law is amoral, okay, that we shouldn't just look at it from the moral aspect. But my question now borders on ethics. For instance, a couple of those who are convicted on cases of drugs, for instance, you have people like Adeni Ijimo, we have Ahmed Adeyemo, and of course, Sheun Omirinde, Adesonya Olufemi. Now, a couple of these individuals got, 15 years sentences for possession of Indian hemp cannabis. So if they are pardoned, a lot of Nigerians will say, okay, fine. Their offenses were not so much, grievous. Some of them have spent 7 years, 9 years, and etc. But coming to ethics, Dr. Lateef, if the law is amoral, how about ethics? Okay, Prince Oyedokun has already explained that once someone is pardoned, their slate is wiped clean. But the ethics here, what does it do to our judicial system? That's the point. If you look at some of these cases, some of them, ordinarily speaking, do you think justice was actually served in the first place? Because if you look at the details of these cases, some of them look like, like killing an ant with a sledgehammer. So, all in all, how do you think this affects the ethics of the judicial system, since we cannot question, we cannot focus on morality alone?
Okay, let me start by saying the distinction you are trying to draw may not be exactly as fine as you are trying to put it. Ethics, morality, they derive from the same pot, in the sense that, they are not exactly the same as the principles of law or legal precept, if you ask me. So the question of whether somebody was rightly convicted or not, well, I don't think that also arises at this time, because it is assumed by law that once you have been convicted, then the court must have followed the due process of law. But that having been said, let me also say that, like my brother said earlier, you see, the simple definition of justice basically is that people are given their due, what they deserve according to law. So a person who has been convicted has been given his due, and the person who has also been free according to law has been given his due according to law. So in all of this, my own take, generally speaking, is that, you see, the public outrage, like I said earlier, is justified because the public is divided on the issue of morality. And I think we have all agreed that there is nothing like universal morality. Our morality are divided. So, and what that can do for us going forward is that the president or governor, as the case may be, will be more circumspect and even careful in the exercise of this power. I mean, they will mind what the public will think. But then that will still not remove the issue of controversies. And when you talk about international standard earlier, I was going to say that there is really nothing like international standard here, because if you talk of controversies trailing exercise of this power, there are more controversies even in the best of democracy. In America, in the UK, their own exercise of similar power have been treated with even more and louder controversies than what we have seen here. Yet, we claim they have, better or best due process of law. President Joe Biden, January this year, pardoned his own son, Hunter Biden. Donald Trump has done the same thing to people. Over there in abroad, they even tend to exercise this power to favor people who are close to them. So this is not the case in Nigeria. And I would say the process in Nigeria is even more saner and I think more credible than what I've seen in other parts of the world. But generally speaking, I think...
So we should have no concerns. Yes. So there are no concerns as far as ethics and morals are concerned.
Yeah, well, the issue of morality and ethics, like I said, we are not united on this. People have different ethics, they have different morality, and I said morality and ethics are actually, the same thing.
So have we set any precedent as it is right now? Judging from these 175, cases, do you think any precedent has been set going forward to, subsequent presidential pardons?
Well, what I think is that the next exercise of similar power will probably be less controversial, because the president or the governor, as the case may be, might want to be more circumspect, like I said earlier, minding, what the public will think, what the public will say. But in terms of precedent for encouraging people to commit similar crime, I don't think so. The law punishing this crime are still there. And what is the fraction of people who have been granted pardon? I mean, quite insignificant, if you ask me, compared to people still in prison now. So anyone who think because of this, they want to then be on a free-fall commission of crime, I think they will be greatly mistaken, because the law will always be there to catch them. And prerogative of mercy is not a right. It's not guaranteed to anyone. It's not something you can actually seek for. I mean, in terms of insisting that this is a right, you want it, you can't have it.
All right,
it depends
Doctor.
on discretion.
Yeah, we more sincerely thank you, gentlemen, for your time and your take this morning. And, some of those things that people are saying and take away, I think for me, it will be in Nigeria, don't allow yourself to be harassed, don't allow yourself to be violated, don't allow yourself to be killed. Because one day, that person who has done that to you might just be forgiven. And we just hope this will not serve as a yardstick for people to just throw caution into the wind, just like you have just said. Dr. Misbau Lateef, a law lecturer and a lawyer. Thank you. It's always exciting to speak with you.
Good morning. Thank you, and have a good day.
All right, and Prince. Yes, sir.
You too, once again.
Thank you very much. And of course, Prince Ademola Oyedokun, thank you for your time, sir. Your definition of justice, it's quite an interesting one. Thank you, sir.
You are welcome. Thank you for the opportunity too.
All right. This will be the size of the program. What an interesting one.
Yeah,
this morning.
Absolutely.
It is just what it is. They say justice is amoral, isn't it?
Yeah, and as far as the legal practitioners are concerned, justice has been served in this case.
As it follows the law.
Absolutely.
If it's moral, is another thing, and which many Nigerians are thinking is not right. But fairness is another thing in law, actually. This will be the size of the program. We'd like to know what you think about today's program, about these topics and development as well. In these new development. Femi Ojo is my name. A big shout out to the production team that has worked with us for today. We'll see you tomorrow. Please stay alive.
Daniel Emeka is my name. Join us again tomorrow for a fresh edition of Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Do have a fantastic week ahead. Good morning.